My name is Kelly MacDonald. I may have been born with low vision, but did that stop me from living the life I wanted? No way! It barely slowed me down. Today, I'm a broadcaster, actor, sports fan, and all-around great guy. I'm also the host of my very own show, this show. I've made a bucket list of things I want to experience, people I want to meet, and places I want to see. So join me on my travels and take a look at things from my point of view. This is Blindsided with Kelly MacDonald. Welcome to Blindsided with Kelly MacDonald. Hey, that's me. We pride ourselves on making mustn't-see TV. And we've got a fantastic show for you this week. I connect with my Scottish roots by taking in a Robbie Burns Day celebration. I rant about the troubles of exercising, and I field another one of your questions in Ask a Blind Guy. But before all that, let's get this show on the road. Literally, if you're a car nut, gearhead, or leadfoot, there's no better place to get your motor running than the Canadian International Auto Show. I've always meant to check out this carnival of chrome, and today, I get my chance. Let's go day tripping. I love cars. Small cars, big cars, trucks, sports cars, SUVs, and minivans. Well, maybe not minivans. I love anything on four wheels. I love the movement, the speed, the sound. Of course, I can't be a driver, so for me, it's all about the ride. And where can I experience all these passenger seats? The Canadian International Auto Show. I'm going to find out what manufacturers are doing to make my ride more fun. If they're gonna unveil it, I'm gonna be in it. And with me to guide me through this plethora of automobiles is
John Gamel.
And John, what qualifies you to do this guiding job for me?
Well, I've been a car nut forever, and I've had over 10 years in the automotive industry.
So, as someone with that experience, what are you looking for when you come to a show like this?
I love to see the new cars, the new technology, unveilings of new models.
That sounds up my alley. Let's go for a stroll.
Where else can a consumer go to one place and see everything in the same room?
I follow John, and we get into a light blue four-door. It's a tight fit, but it won't break the bank.
So, Kelly, we're here in quite a small Chevrolet Spark. This is sort of a very entry-level base Chevrolet.
I feel there is some knobs and stuff to use for the radio and controls. Definitely the most important, heat and air. And I was feeling around, and I noticed when you pull down the sun visor, there's a vanity mirror.
There is a vanity mirror.
But it's missing the switch for the light, I'm guessing.
It is an entry-level car, so they have to cut back somewhere.
Doesn't do me any good anyway,
right.
Light or not. This car overall would be too small for me. I'd like something with a few more toys. Let's push on, see what else we can find for me to play with.
Let's do it.
Since hybrids are all the rage, John and I slide into one.
Here we are in a 2016 Toyota Camry hybrid. How does it feel?
It's nice. I mean, as soon as I got in, first impressions, leather. So we've got that. The seat's comfortable. What's the cost of this vehicle?
This is about $32,000 plus freight and destination and dealer fee.
How come so much?
It's a hybrid. You're always going to pay a little bit of a premium for the hybrid technology, but you're going to save it on gas.
The headroom leaves a little to be desired. There's not a lot of that.
You sure it's headroom you're after, or are you looking for hat room?
John made a good pitch for the hybrid, but let's keep searching. There's a lot that goes on here, eh, John?
Lots of walking, too, huh? Your feet okay?
Oh, yeah. But it takes up a lot of space having so many vehicles.
Well, you know what? There's 136 exhibitors here. Everything is brand specific.
Since the traditional sedan isn't roomy enough, why don't we try something a bit bigger?
This is a 2016 BMW X1, which is a smaller SUV that's a relatively newer segment to the car industry.
All the toys, what do we got?
It's full of technology, it's got lots of toys, however, it's a little bit driver-centric here. Everything is geared and facing me. It does have this sort of mouse-based knob down here in your center. How do you find working on that?
I wouldn't be able to, because you turn, select, push down. No good for me, because I wouldn't even know what the heck I was clicking on because it's a screen.
There's not really a whole lot for you to do in this car.
A little boring for me.
I mean, you do have your heated seats, which are nice. I know you like those.
Oh, yeah. But still, let's move on and keep walking.
So, Kelly, we've seen a couple cars now. What are your thoughts?
You know, I'm thinking of the accessibility stuff in the way of how easy can I use things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that cars that interact with, you know, the Mac stuff would be great because I can use my iPhone. Buttons are really splendid if I can get them. So that's kind of the search for me, that I can sit in that car and assist the driver by not having to ask questions. I want to be able to do it myself and figure those things out. But since we're at the auto show, I wouldn't mind checking out a sports car or two.
This is the 2017 Audi A4. So how does it feel?
I like it. The seat tilts a little to the back in the butt, but that's the kind of car it is.
This one has a sport package. It is a 6-way power seat with a lumbar support. So for a long drive, would probably be pretty helpful.
So as I feel around, I find the screen, and below this, I find what feels like cassette player buttons.
Cassette player buttons, Kelly? How old are you?
Moving on.
So, Kelly, you can't come to the auto show without sitting in a super exotic luxury car. And here we are in the Tesla Model S P90D.
Certainly uses its share of letters in the alphabet, doesn't it?
This is a full electric plug-in hybrid, so it's excellent on gas. It doesn't use any.
That's the best conservation you can do.
I don't know if it's going to be the best car for you because it seems to be a tablet on wheels.
Oh.
It's one giant screen.
Oh.
0 buttons.
So this is the Kelly sits, sleeps, and rides. But it's really comfortable and feels luxurious. Dare I ask how much?
This car is $148,000.
Oh. For that price, I hope it comes with a chauffeur. Next. Money aside, my ride needs to be comfortable. So John brings me to the biggest car yet.
This is a Mercedes-Benz G550.
Wow. This is like a living room. It's like a truck feel to me. One thing I noticed is all these buttons. I love buttons.
There is buttons everywhere in this car, and there's no touchscreens.
Oh, we like that. And where the radio would be, keypad, is that for my phone?
That is for your phone. It's also for your favorite station.
No cup holders in the front, so I'll have to ride the back.
Yes, and it's very spacious as well. You've also got here heated seats.
Oh.
You've got cooled seats.
Could this be the car for me? How much?
$150.
Well, let's see what else is around here. Clearly, I have expensive tastes, so I'm hoping there's another option for me in the near future. Driverless technology. How soon can I be driving a car?
Well, it's a great question, and everybody's thinking about that. Every manufacturer is working on that technology as we speak, but there's a lot of complicated legislation and rule changing before we see it on the road. I'm thinking it's anywhere from 10 to 30 years.
That's a lot of time. I'll be able to bring my walker and stuff into the vehicle. John, thanks for taking me around the auto show from one car nut to another. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
And now for joking aside with the out-of-sight players. All right, treadmill, this is the year I get ripped. Now, how do I turn you on? What does this button do?
You have selected manual mode. Please enter distance.
Okay.
Workout distance, 500 kilometers.
Oops, wrong button.
Select speed.
That's just a little too brisk.
You have selected interval sprints.
What?
You have selected mountain climb. Elevating.
Uh-oh.
You have selected evening stroll.
Oh, thank goodness.
Speeding up.
No, no! Too fast!
Emergency stop activated. Workout distance, 17 meters. Average pace, 52 minutes per kilometer. Calories burned, 6.
Nailed it. Coming up on Blindsided with Kelly MacDonald, the pipes. The pipes are calling. I celebrate Robbie Bird's Day the old-fashioned way, with scotch. Welcome back to Blindsided with Kelly MacDonald. It's time now for a look at some of the more interesting stories in the news this week. This is your inside scoop. Google has invested $1 million in the startup Wayfinder, a smartphone app that uses indoor beacons and audio cues to help visually impaired people navigate through urban environments. The initiative aims to provide guides for indoor venues like malls, stadiums, and hospitals. It's currently undergoing testing in the London Underground because, well, what better place to safely test a blind directional app than in a subway station? Dutch police are training eagles to hunt drones. The new project, a joint effort between the Dutch National Police and a Raptor training company called Guard from Above, is an experimental program aimed at removing drones that infringe on sensitive airspace. The program is already working better than their first idea, cats on trampolines. A new study from the University of Poland says that good-looking people are happier, but only when they're thinking of how attractive they are. Huh, they're right. And that's your inside scoop. With a last name like MacDonald, you may think that I have a family ancestry that goes deep into the heart of Scotland. Well, to tell you the truth, I have no idea what it means to be Scottish. So I thought it may be time to get in touch with my old country roots. And what better time than Robbie Burns Day? Warning to viewers, there will be kilts. Let's check something off my bucket list. Every January 25th, for well over 250 years or more, people of Scottish descent have gathered to listen to bagpiping, eat a concoction made from an ancient recipe, and celebrate a guy named Robbie Burns, an 18th century poet. I'm here at Mackenzie House in Toronto to find out why we celebrate Robbie Burns Day and where does a man named Kelly MacDonald fit in. No mistaking the sounds of the bagpipe. Woof! And the man playing them is?
Rory Sinclair, or as I say in Northern Scotland, Rudy.
I'm doing a little exploration of my own roots as a MacDonald.
Clan Donald. Brave souls they were.
All I know is the son of Donald thing for MacDonald.
That's correct, that's what it means.
At first I thought it was somebody cursing at me saying, "You son of a Donald." Rory, we celebrate Robbie Burns. I think you know a little bit about him.
He was a man who started to write poetry, not in the classical form, but in the Scottish dialect, and that made a huge hit. He was the Hank Williams of his day, the Bob Dylan, you know, the Weekend of his time. Very prolific and loved throughout the country.
Is it the songs and poems why we celebrate him every year?
That's part of it, but mostly it's the spirit that Burns exhibited in his poetry and in the way he dealt with other people. For example, he was a fierce Democrat. He was a guy who knew in his deepest heart he was the equal of any man, and not many people were talking like that in the 18th century. But he was also a fierce patriot. He wanted Scottish people to be proud of who they were.
Rory, on my bucket list is to discover my roots. Can you help me?
I can do that, my friend. It'd be a great pleasure, but first, you gotta be dressed properly.
Rory sent me off to be properly attired, and the outfit I've been given takes a little time to put on.
Come on. Can't be that hard. This better be worth this wait. Kelly, I hear you coming. Come on over here. Let's have a look at you. Well, I'll be.
Well?
That is exactly what you need to have on when we talk about your Scottish roots. You have your sporran properly in place. That's the Scotsman's purse. You've got the kilt on. I see that's the Scottish national tartan. Charcoal gray jacket and vest. Fantastic.
I don't really know if I understand how it pertains to me, a MacDonald.
Well, all Scots wore garments 800 years ago that, for lack of a better term, like a Roman toga. It was one piece of cloth. Tartan is an official recognized combination of colors and checks and squares that are unique to each family. It was a way of displaying who you were. Everyone of a particular clan would all share the same tartan. So you would know.
So you're branded in that sense, in your wardrobe.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and you wore it proudly, and your chief would wear the tartan as well. And if you were in battle, you could tell who was your friend and who wasn't. And the kilt that you're wearing today was probably, in the shape it is, probably 300 years ago.
This is really cool. And you know what? It feels quite comfortable.
Every man who puts one on is quite flummoxed by this at first, because there's things that are flowing around that they don't normally do.
So that's what that is. One of the other things is there's music, there's food.
And this is where Burns comes in. Why him? Because not only did he write these great heroic poems about Scottish people and being proud of being Scottish, but he wrote funny poems. And this is a funny poem that he wrote, and it's called An Address to a Haggis. Maybe that dish might not have survived except for this poem.
The festivities at Mackenzie House include music and dance. Traditional haggis is served, a dish Rory says has been much maligned.
People who haven't tried it, they think it's just full of raw guts. That sounds pretty unappealing, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I tell them, well, actually, it's 95% oatmeal. They go, what? It's a steamed pudding. It's cooked for long and slow times. But they do add some ground beef and a liver and a heart. And this was 18th century version of hamburger helper. Because they couldn't afford the meat. You know, it just stretched the meat flavor right through that whole beast.
Well, I'm anxious to give it a shot. Next, what do we do?
I've got one cooking back there.
To follow Scottish tradition, Rory and I must present the haggis. With bagpipe accompaniment, of course.
Perfect.
Great.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
We now have a haggis.
On the table in front of us. So, are we ready to eat now?
Oh, Kelly, I'm sorry to say, there's a preliminary you must do. We must address the haggis.
Okay.
We have a formal poem to read that was written by Burns, and it was called An Address to a Haggis. His knife! See a rustic labor dict, and cut you up with ready slick, trenching your gushing entrails blick like on a ditch. But then, oh, what a glorious sight. It's warm, reeking, rich. So we also have the obligatory neeps and tatties. Neeps is short form for turnips.
Okay.
And tatties for potatoes. And we are now ready to give it a try. But we have one more formality to fulfill before we tuck in. We must remove our bonnets.
Oh, indeed.
And now I'm going to serve some of this amazing food. You can't eat until the host starts. You know?
Sounds fair.
All right, my friend, I'm ready to go. Let's tuck into the haggis. I'll show you where the haggis is. It's right there.
Okay, I'll take a little bit. That is very good.
So, Kelly, my friend, there's one thing missing.
Oh.
And I happen to have just the thing. We need Scotch whiskey, something that Burns himself liked. And what we're going to raise our glasses to is to Robert Burns, because we wouldn't be here without him.
You betcha.
To Robert Burns.
To Robbie Burns. Ah, yes.
Do you think you've covered your bucket list, my friend?
I have. Thanks a lot, Rory.
It's my great pleasure, Kelly.
Coming up on Blindsided with Kelly MacDonald, I'm exercising my demons on the soapbox. Plus, one lucky person gets to ask a blind guy. Stick around. Welcome back to Blindsided with Kelly MacDonald. Time to climb onto my soapbox. 9. When it comes to working out, there really is no negative. Believe it or not, I don't mind breaking a sweat, especially in a familiar gym with a good vibe. For a blind person, a gym presents several challenges. 61, 62. First off, it was the expense of membership, training that put me off. Finding an available machine can also be a challenge. Good. Especially if someone's in the middle of their routines, listening to their headsets, and doesn't see me coming. Simply reading the controls on many machines is not an option. I need help. But once I'm trained, I'm good to go. Once I got into a workout routine, I found it both physically and spiritually rewarding. If you enjoy the experience, you might find yourself going more often. Well, that's just the way I see it. In this episode of It's a Service Dog's Life, service dog Olivia joins her doggy friend Bailey outside a pet store.
It looks like we're early, Olivia. The pet store doesn't open for a few minutes. I guess we'll have to wait. Sounds like your doggy friend Bailey is here. Maybe you two can have a little chat while we wait.
Hi, Olivia. Are you and your human here for the big sale?
Yeah, my human said I can get a new toy. I hope it squeaks.
Is that a new collar?
Yes, thanks for noticing.
Is that a new vest, too?
Oh, no. I have to wear it for my job.
Job?
Yeah, you ever wonder where your human goes all day?
I don't know. Chasing cats?
No, their job.
Oh.
I go everywhere with my human. That's my job. Yesterday, I walked with my human to the bank, and an old lady gave me a treat. Then we went down to the park, and I saw 6 squirrels. And then I got to go on the bus. There are some smells on the bus that you wouldn't believe.
Wow, the bus.
What did you do yesterday?
I slept for 10 hours, scratched myself, hung out in the backyard. The usual. I wish I had a job.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Okay, Olivia, the store should be open. Say goodbye.
Bye, Bailey.
Have a good day at work. I've got to work on my resume.
Now it's time for Ask a Blind Guy with my new friend Melanie.
As a blind person, do you find it hard to come to festivals and be in busy crowds?
It's always great to have a guide to tell you what's around you. It really helps, of course, because you'd never know what the booths are. It doesn't matter how busy it is, nobody's paying attention. They're looking at things, so walking is kind of the last thing they're thinking of or really caring about. And I'm a pretty big guy, so I always find it amazing that people walk into me as big as I am. So definitely they're a challenge, and unfortunately, there are a lot of times I'll take a pass on going to a festival because of the crowd, let alone just knowing what's there and what isn't. It's time for the selfie challenge. Today, we've got a viewer with a fear near and dear to my heart. Nat Miller wrote in saying she faced her fear of appearing on television. Not only that, Nat did a 10-minute interview on A Voice for All as a representative of the CNIB. And she nailed it. Congratulations, Nat, and thanks for sharing your story. Now, if you crossed something off your bucket list, share your story with us. Tweet a photo or short video to @AMIKellyMac or post it on the Accessible Media Inc. Facebook page. That's it for the show. We'll catch you again next week. Still there? Ha! So are we. Executive producers Nat Abram, Ira Levy, Michael McGuigan, Peter Williamson, and Chantel Jackson. Produced and directed by James Murdoch. Story producer Amy Blythe. Director of Photography Suave Hoopa. Editor Matthew Walsh. DV consultant Ron Rickford. Joking Aside performed by the Out of Sight Players. Produced in association with Accessible Media Inc. Produced and distributed by Breakthrough Entertainment.
An AMI original production.